Welcome to Dependable Flame, where we explore vintage petrol lighters, ashtrays, tobacconiana, and other useful mechanisms. Make yourself at home. Today we are going to clear the Flint tube in this BARLOW B-15 miniature advertising lighter. This is a very small lighter. A little bit on the tall side for one that's miniature, but still very small. Miniature is a good designation for this lighter. If we remove the Flint spring screw, then we will find that there is no Flint spring in there. And put a drill bit in there. You can see it will go that far, so not quite up to the file wheel where it needs to go. So the first thing we're going to do is spin this drill bit inside of the tube. Do it by hand to begin with, and hope that that is enough to get that old flint dug out of there. You guys have seen me do this a million times now, so you know that I'm only going to be so patient before I put the drill bit into the chuck of the drill and let the drill do the work. Still got flint dust coming out of there, so we're going to go ahead and put the bit into the chuck of the drill. Shouldn't have to put a whole lot of pressure here. And that quickly, you could feel it give. There's your old flint dust, or what was left of it. Get our bit, and you can see that it is now reaching all the way up to the file wheel. So that should be cleared good enough. Hit that with a little canned air. Get our work surface wiped clean of the degraded flint here. Get the rest of it off of my hands. And we will move on to the second problem, which is not only was the flint tube obstructed by the old flint, but there was no flint spring, just a screw. So we are going to use that old screw along with a spring that we have here that's a spare. And by the way that I was judging it, it looks like it reaches in there. Far enough that if we will cut this right about where it has been stretched, that should give us enough spring to get tension on the wheel, or get tension on the flint going up against the wheel. So that is trimmed off there now. And I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get that spring to actually lock up inside, or I should say the screw to kind of snap inside of the spring. But yeah, looks like good enough. So let's just see here what happens. We drop our brand new flint down in the tube. And then follow that with the flint spring and screw. And I may have to get my screwdriver back out here. Got that started. Got a decent spark. This is a lighter that I guess you could say I inherited it. It belonged to my grandfather. And we spent a lot of time at my grandmother and grandfather's house after they passed. And after they'd pretty much gone through everything that anybody wanted. And I found this in a cabinet in the old farmhouse. That was before I even started working on old lighters. So I was kind of ignorant at the time, and it kind of got put to the side, and I just found it the other day when I was moving. So that should be enough of the wick pulled up there. It has come apart on me a little bit here. Probably not a great thing to have happen, especially if that wick contains asbestos. So we will do our best to keep this all contained here. So you can see there that it does spark. We got enough wick showing. And we will go ahead and fuel this up. I've got two of these 12-ounce Ronsonol fuel cans here, the plastic kind, which I believe it was Mark Burris last week who told me that he had a project in mind and he needed about a dozen of them. And Mark, I don't have that many, but as soon as these are emptied, I will send them to you. I have had more of the 8-ounce variety, and even some of those got tossed before I really got to thinking about what might be able to be done with the bottles. So anyway, I would be curious to hear what you have planned for those, Mark, but I will put them aside with your name on them. So here we have the BARLOW B-15 miniature lighter made in Japan with a new flint spring cut to length for it. Pulled the wick up and drilled the flint tube out. So now we should have a solid working lighter. If I can maneuver it here with my weak hands. Until next time.